Hello, beautiful human beings. Today is day 12 of the Power of Love Summit, transforming self and society through love and compassion. Today is our very last day. I am so excited to be here to close this summit with you. My name is Brittany Tackett. I am a transpersonal therapist and coach, yoga and meditation teacher, and founder of Heart First Education, whose mission is to educate the whole person, heart first. And our vision is a world where hearts are educated as much as minds. So it's just me today. We've already finished all 12 of the interviews, such beautiful conversations we had about such important topics. And now here I am today, just to share with you a little bit of what's in my heart and how I got here on this journey and the work that I'm doing. Personally, I have never really liked, I guess you could say, if you want to say liked or felt comfortable with the live video. It just feels a little strange to me to talk to myself in this way. Like I can't actually see you on the other side, even though I know someone is watching or will watch this video. So I really personally enjoy the interview style so that I can connect with another human. So know that this is out of my comfort zone, but I am so excited to be here because it's such an important topic. And I am really stretching myself to open my heart and to speak my truth. So that is my own journey. So before we get started, let's just take a moment to connect to our hearts. So our hearts beat about 100,000 times a day, right? How often do we actually notice and listen and feel it, right? And same with our breath. I think, what do we breathe, like 40 to 60,000 breaths a day? I know the average is about 12 to 16 breaths a minute. And then when we practice heart coherence breath, which I'll get into in a minute, we slow it down to just 5 breaths a minute, which is such a big difference, which explains why it helps to calm us down and make us feel more in our hearts. So yeah, our hearts beat 100,000 times a day, and we rarely ever notice or pay attention to this beautiful rhythm that's happening in our bodies and sustaining our lives 24/7. So what a beautiful job our hearts have. So let's just bring our hands to your heart. You could even do skin to skin and just close your eyes. And let's just start to feel into the body. And just notice what's present for you in this moment. Notice what's happening with all of your senses. What do you feel right now? What's your emotional state? Notice your breath. Notice your heartbeat. Just feel your heartbeat here, just for a few breaths. We're just going to give some attention and awareness to our hearts. Let's take a deep breath in here. Pause and hold your breath at the top, really feeling for your heartbeat. And exhale. Maybe you even feel your heart beats in different parts of your body. But as you're ready, open your eyes, come back to this present moment. Welcome. So today the topic is living heartfully, opening your heart to love in the present moment. So what do I mean by living heartfully? So I just love the term heartfulness. You won't hear me use it a lot, unfortunately, because it has been copyrighted by the Heartfulness Institute, which they seem like a really great organization, but I really wish they hadn't copyrighted the term. It seems strange to copyright a way of being. Like, can you imagine if the word mindfulness was copyrighted? Like, we hear mindfulness everywhere, right? It's like a buzzword now. And I'm so glad it is, because it's shifting our consciousness, right? It's such a good thing for humanity that mindfulness is becoming popular. But really, the deeper meaning of mindfulness is heartfulness. And so I wish I could use the term more freely and not have to wonder what could happen, which, I mean, being that they're an organization of the heart, I don't think they would sue me for using the word, especially just talking about it. But anyway, it's a beautiful term. And if you know John Kabat-Zinn, he was one of the, or he is, he's still alive, but he was the first person to really bring mindfulness to the West. So he's a popular mindfulness teacher, and there's a quote by him that says, if you're not hearing mindfulness in some way as heartfulness, then you're missing the point. And I thought that was such a great realization, because in Asian languages, the word for mind and the word for heart are actually the same. They're kind of interchangeable. And we don't really have that. We don't have a word for that in the English language, right? We see them as separate. We don't have a word that kind of unites the two. And I know a lot of the Asian languages do, and they see the heart mind as like the higher mind, right? Our heart is where our higher wisdom and truth is. And we don't really have that distinction in the English language. So when they were using the term mindfulness, it really did mean heartfulness, right? And so when we practice mindfulness, it's a little bit deeper than just being present and paying attention with your senses. Which is a great thing to do, right? That's going to change your life. But there's an even deeper awareness to it, where we bring an attitude of love and kindness and compassion to the experience, to the present moment. So we are open, our hearts are open to whatever's happening, and we're present for it. We're experiencing it fully with our senses, and we are approaching it from an attitude of love and compassion and kindness, right? So even when it's hard, even when it's something that is difficult for us or painful, we can still sort of, it's almost like a blanket, right? You're like just holding it with this perspective of love and compassion, and that just softens everything, right? No matter what it is, I feel like love has the power to transmute all suffering. So yeah, when we live heartfully, we are just opening our hearts to the love that exists in the present moment. And that's not always an easy thing to do. I know even just an hour ago before I came onto this call, I was not really feeling in my heart. I was feeling a lot of frustration at the bureaucracy. I'm trying to get passports so my daughter and I can travel. And some of the little hurdles I've been coming into are just ridiculous. And I'm like, gosh, I just have to get all this paperwork to prove I'm a human to go to another place on the earth. Like, how silly is that? And then with all the situations of war and everything coming up in the last couple of days, like it's heavy. And I don't think I was really feeling too much in my heart. And I'm like, oh, I've got to go on here and talk about being in my heart when I'm actually sort of in my mind. So I had to take it and drop down in. And now here I am in my heart. So it is possible, but it's not always easy for us to bring ourselves into a heartful state. So as far as I know, the Heartfulness Institute hasn't copyrighted the terms heartful and heartfully. So we could, just like we can live mindfully or be mindful, we can be heartful or live heartfully. And so it's just a deeper way of practicing mindfulness, right? And when you think about mindfulness too, the mind really isn't full, right? We're not having this mind full of thoughts. It's kind of actually the opposite. We're quieting the mind, letting go of the mental chatter, letting go of the ego's judgments and preconceptions and all the things, so that we're actually fully present to what's happening, right? Because a lot of times we miss out on so much beauty in the present moment because the mind's going, right? And we're thinking about the past or the future, where we have all these ideas of how things are supposed to be, or we're distracted, right? Looking at a phone or something else, and we're not truly here. And so just to live heartfully is to be present, right? And to bring that attitude, feelings of love and compassion into each moment. And so a question that I like to ask myself or remind myself when I am struggling, which I don't always remember to, right? But it's a practice, right? But I can say to myself, in this moment, how can I lean into love a little bit more? Or I'll say, what would love do, right? Because I mean, back in the 90s, everybody was wearing those bracelets of the WWJD. What would Jesus do? And that's great. But I know Jesus doesn't resonate for everyone, right? We all have our own religious and spiritual beliefs. But underneath all of that is love, right? Underneath all of it, love and forgiveness and compassion, those are the core of the religions. And that's what it's really all about. And that's what Jesus spoke about, right? Is how we can be more loving. And so I'll ask myself, what would love do? If I was seeing this from a lens of love, how would that change my experience? What would I be aware of that maybe I'm not aware of right now when I'm looking at the situation from my head? And so those questions are really powerful for me. And the other thing that I've come up against a lot is just my own anxieties, my own imbalanced nervous system due to past traumas and experiences. And so that stuff comes up for me. You know, I will get triggered by things and it brings up the stuff, right? It's a journey, right? It's a cyclical journey. It's not this linear path. So sometimes I'll feel like, oh, I'm past that, but oh, wait, here we are back again to deal with this again, right? It's showing up again. Here's another opportunity. And each opportunity that we wave back into it, like it's kind of like a figure 8, right? Like the infinity symbol. Each time we wave back into it, we have a new opportunity to learn and grow a little bit more. And one of the things that I have been kind of saying to myself in my mind, like a mantra, that has really helped me in those times is to say, even though, and then I fill in the blank. So like, say, for example, I am getting caught up in negative thought and like my inner critic's going, rah, 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 and I'm saying all these hurtful things to myself, and I catch myself doing it. And I say, okay, you know, even though I'm being critical of myself right now, I love myself anyway. Or if I'm getting caught up in anxiety and my head is spinning, right, with these what ifs, or overthinking, right? My mind likes to overthink and dwell on things. Oh, should I have done it that way? Or, oh no, like, what about this? And it can be really intense. And so when I notice the overthinking, I say, even though I'm overthinking, I love myself anyway. Even though I'm experiencing anxiety, I love myself anyway. And it sort of just softens it, right? Rather than in the past, there was more of a resistance to this, like, oh God, I'm feeling anxiety again. This is terrible. Go away, go away. I don't want to be anxious. That didn't really help it, right? It would just exasperate the problem and make it bigger. But by just like allowing the anxiety to be there and just say, oh, it's the anxiety again. Oh, I'm being triggered by this past trauma. Here it is again. And just by acknowledging that and saying, yes, this is happening for me now, but I still love myself. And sometimes I don't always believe it when I say it, but just saying it, like, it will soften things for me. And it's like, the more I say it, then the more I believe it, right? So it really, truly is a practice. So yeah. And we've mentioned it a few times in some of the other interviews. And so you may already know about it, maybe not. But there is an organization called HeartMath, really amazing organization. They've done a lot of research on the heart, and it's just so fascinating. Some of the things that they've discovered, it's just, I want to say mind blowing, but really it comes back to the heart, right? But it's really interesting because the heart is so much more than a pump. And, you know, I think on a deeper level, we know that because we'll speak to the spiritual heart, like metaphorically a lot, like, oh, follow your heart, trust your heart, let your heart guide you, listen to your heart. Like, we hear it all the time, right? We use it in our language. And even when you ask somebody to just right now, point to yourself. When you ask someone to point to themselves, they don't point up to their head, right? You point to your heart. And that's where we truly are. And it's amazing for at HeartMath for this information to come out, for them to do the research and to show us really the power of our heart. And this is just the beginning. I think that eventually science is going to know even more about the power of our heart, which is awesome. But our heart it has its own little heart brain, right? There's 40,000 neurons there. And the heart actually sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So just let that sink in for a moment. And then let's talk about cellular memory. So I read the book called A Change of Hearts. Cannot remember the woman's name, but she actually had a heart transplant. And afterwards, she felt different. Like she had different preferences. She was having different dreams. Like she just didn't feel exactly the same anymore. She felt like a new energy, a new presence. And she started having so many dreams that she was actually able to find and connect with the family of the man's heart that she received. And some of the memories and information that she had, I mean, there's no way she could have known those things. So clearly his heart had cellular memory, and she was able to experience those memories. And I read another story of a person who had a heart transplant and actually had some pretty violent dreams and memories of the person who died being murdered. And they were able to find the murderer based on her dreams. So that's really powerful too. So there's just a lot about the heart that we don't know, and a lot we're still finding out. But I truly believe that our heart has a deeper intelligence, right? That we have access to this higher consciousness, right? In our heart. It's this consciousness of love, of gratitude, of joy, of patience, of kindness, like all the virtues, all the good that's in human beings, it's all right here. And it's like the highest consciousness that we can have as human beings, like is love, right? Love encompasses all things. And it's just so beautiful. So there was something else I was going to say about the heart math research, but it's not coming to me right now. So maybe it'll pop back up. But yeah, so that's it. And like a lot of meditation techniques they strive to take you higher, right? They strive to take you higher, which is great in its own way. But heart-centered meditation takes you deeper. And so it's different. It's not so much about like the crown chakra, the third eye, like really getting up in there and doing those things with meditation, which is great and can be beneficial and beautiful. And, there's a time and place for that. But heart-centered meditation takes you deeper into your own experience. And there's just such potential for transformation when we live from our heart and operate from our heart. And so that leads me to bring up this Greek myth. So there was a myth in Greek mythology about the heart, and it said that the heart is guarded by two guard dogs, right? And in order to get into your heart, you have to face these guard dogs. And these guard dogs represent like our deepest wounds, right? These deepest wounds of the past that kind of hold us back. So in order to get into our heart, we have to face them. And so that's not always an easy thing to do. And that's a big reason why a lot of us don't live from our heart, because in order to do so, we have to be vulnerable. And oh my God, is it hard to be vulnerable in this world, right? Like we're like, oh, it's not safe for me to be open. It's not safe for me to be open because I could get hurt. And so a lot of us have put up the walls, right? We have put up the walls, we put up the armor, and sometimes it's pretty thick, right? It's pretty hard to get in there. And it's totally understandable that we would close ourselves off because, there is so much pain and suffering in the world, and there is a lot of unkindness. And so at some point in your life, you may have been hurt, and you put up the wall, and then maybe you put up another wall, and it keeps building, right? And so it's sort of an unlearning and taking back the layers and cleansing all that out, right? We did a interview on heart chakra cleansing breath work with Leah and how we can kind of cleanse that stuff out. So it's with the same kind of situation with the guard dogs. We have to face those wounds. And that's not always I don't think it's ever an easy thing to do. I don't think it's ever easy to face like your deepest wounds, your deepest fears, your deepest hurts. definitely very hard work, but really worth the reward, right? And it's often in our greatest wounds where our greatest strength lies too, right? Like we can be a wounded healer. And once we've figured out how to heal it, we can help others do the same, right? So if you're still like, and you probably are, because it is that cyclical journey, right? It's that figure eight. Like if we still have some wounds to deal with, have the courage to face them, and you don't have to face them alone, right? Like you can talk with a friend, a loved one, a therapist, a coach. Like it's so helpful to have support, particularly support of someone who knows what you're going through and who's been on the path. So you may, have family in your life who, as much as you want them to support you in that path, they just can't, right? It's not their journey. Maybe they don't understand this path. And so maybe they're not the person to support you. And sometimes that's really hard to create that boundary with our family members or with people in our life. But that's where having a professional, to help. And it has to be someone you trust and someone you resonate with. There's so many therapists, coaches, healers out there, and not every person is for everybody. But if we can get in and we can heal those wounds and we can open our heart, it's such a beautiful way to live. So, yeah, I'm going to open up Facebook and see if I can see to make sure. Okay, I am live. So I was like, I don't want to be talking to myself this whole time and not have been live. So yeah, another thing about living in your heart is the intuition, right? So it's a deeper way of knowing about things, right? The mind is great, logic is great, reason is great, but there's a deeper way of knowing, right? There's a way of knowing that's beyond the books. And instead of, doing all this problem solving and searching and reading, but really, if we just take the time and quiet down, get still, get quiet, and just listen, the answers are in our hearts. So it's another beautiful aspect of living in your heart. And when we practice the heart, that's what it was. I knew there was something else I wanted to say about heart math, and it was heart coherence. So through the heart math research, they developed this term called heart coherence, which is all about getting our heart and brain in a coherent state where our heart and brain work in harmony. And one technique that they have found through research that helps us to get into a heart coherent state is heart coherence breath. And it's a really simple breathing practice. It's pretty easy to remember because it's just an inhale for a count of 6 and an exhale for a count of 6. And so you can choose if you want to do it through the nose or the mouth or alternate between the two. But the main thing is that slow, deep breathing. And normally we're breathing, like I said at the beginning, at a rate of 12 to 16 breaths a minute. And when we do heart coherence breath, it's just 5 breaths a minute. So no wonder it calms our nervous system, right? Because it's really slow. And each slow breath and each exhalation tells your body that you're safe and that it's okay to relax. And so when we walk around in fight or flight mode, which I know I've definitely done it, and a lot of us do because we live in a world of chronic stress, right? So when we're living in the wild and that tiger comes, you get into fight or flight mode and you do what you got to do to get away from the tiger, and then your nervous system calms back down, right? And so that's kind of how it works for animals. Like the fight or flight response kicks in when it's needed, and as soon as they're away from the trigger of the stress, they go back to baseline. They go back to being calm. Humans work a little bit differently because we have the ability to continue to think about it. And a lot of times our stressor is occurring chronically, right? We have chronic stress. And so that tiger, it's like it's there all the time, right? If it's your boss or something like that, it's always there. And see, our brain doesn't know the difference between your boss and a tiger. And so it's very, unfortunately, it's very easy for our nervous system to kind of get stuck in chronic fight or flight, which can cause so many physical and mental health problems. So this heart coherence breath is a beautiful thing to not only help you get more into your heart and live more centered, but to kind of free you from that trauma loop, of being in fight or flight. And that's one of the reasons why I love yoga too. It's really helped me to get out of fight or flight mode and get into rest and digest. So at any moment, when you're feeling stressed, you can stop and take this heart coherence breath. And just 3 minutes is enough to calm the nervous system. And when we're in that heart coherent state and our brain and heart are working in balance, we feel more unity, right? Because the heart knows only unity. It doesn't know separation. It's the mind that compartmentalizes things. The heart already sees that we're all connected. And when we live in that heart coherent state, we can feel that. And we see more synchronicities in our life, more little God winks, I like to call them. And things just seem to flow, right? We're operating in a flow state. There's less resistance. We're able to surrender and trust. And it's just such a beautiful way to live. So yeah, I'm going to check my notes and see if there was anything else I really wanted to talk about. Make sure I don't forget. I think I've pretty much kind of covered it all. I mean, there's so much to say about this topic, but really, I truly believe that this is the paradigm shift, right? People awakening to the intelligence of the heart, to heart consciousness, people living from a state of love and gratitude and joy, these higher vibrational states. That's what's going to change our world, right? That's what's going to create a new earth, because that's really all that's stopping us now. Like, we live on this abundant planet that provides for us, but yet so many people are struggling. Yet there was a war that was just started, right? Like, that comes from the mind, that comes from ego, that comes from wanting to control, wanting to have power, greed, all of these things, right? But when we live from our hearts, we care about others, right? We see that we're all connected. We care about our planet, right? We realize there is no separation, and what I do to you, I also do to me. And what I do to the earth, I do to me, and I do to future generations. And so the more of us that start to live from our hearts and vibrate from the frequency of love, the more others will too, right? That's the beautiful thing about it, right? Our heart's magnetic field is so much stronger than the brain's. And when we radiate love out from our heart's magnetic field, it radiates love out to others, right? And that's how we can feel it. When someone walks in a room and they've got this loving, joyful energy, right? We feel that. So when you choose to live in your heart, you are unconsciously affecting and uplifting the hearts of others, even if they don't realize it on a conscious level. And so when you give yourself permission to shine your own light and to love yourself despite your flaws, despite your humanness, when you're able to love yourself anyway and to feel love and compassion for all beings on this planet, you are giving others the freedom to do so too. And so it's such a beautiful thing. So all it takes is just one heart, for one heart to change, and it's going to change so many other hearts. So thank you so much for being here and for participating in the Power of Love Summit. Such important conversations that we had. I love connecting with other people who live in their hearts, or people who have the desire to be more in their hearts and who want to have these conversations. It's so beautiful. And so I will close today just by sharing a little bit about the work that I'm doing and how you can be a part of that if you resonate with me and want to work with me or want to help with Heart First education in any way. So I work with children and adults. So for children, I have quite a bit of courses I teach. Right now, I can teach them online through a platform called OutSchool on Zoom. I also teach in person if you happen to be in my community here in Ashland, Kentucky, but I have courses on virtue development, right? I call it being my best self. I have We Are Warriors anxiety management for kids. That's a really great 6-week course on giving kids empowerment skills to help to deal with worry and to understand that worry is a normal part of being a human. It's because of our fight or flight response, right? It's there to protect us, but how we can learn to manage it and not let worry take over our lives. So I love doing that course with kids, and I have a workbook too. And you can buy just the workbook, and parents can do it with their children. It's a really fun, it's more of a playbook than a workbook. So it's like engaging creatively with our worry and fears. There's a lot of drawing, there's storytelling, lots of fun stuff. I have a course called I Can Calm. That's just a 60-minute course. So it only takes an hour. And in that hour, I empower kids with more than 10 different breathing and relaxation techniques to help calm themselves. I know I could have benefited from those skills when I was a kid, and I just never had it, right? I had to learn these things as an adult, and it was a lot of unlearning unhealthy responses to cope, right? And to learn these healthy coping skills instead. So it's such a beautiful thing when we can empower our children at a young age with these skills. So those are just a few of the courses I have for kids. I also do EQ coaching with kids. So I work one-on-one with children to empower them with these emotional intelligence skills. So I've helped kids through so many things, like their parents are going through a divorce, or like they feel abandoned by a parent. I've helped kids that have been bullied, kids who have anxiety, all the things. So I do that for teenagers as well, and children. And then when I do the EQ work, I also like to work a little bit with the parents and do a couple sessions with the parents too, so that I can help empower the parents to teach those skills to their kids at home and kind of weave them throughout their life, and how the parent can support the child in this process. Because we as parents, we play such a huge role. So of course the parents are going to be included in that work. So that's the stuff I do with kids. And then for adults, right now I have a program that I love called Lean Into Love, right? And it really is a heart-centered movement. It's about leaning more into love and how can we leave a legacy of love behind, right? For our families and for our future generations. And so what that is it's sort of a combination of one-on-one work, like with actually coaching, if you want to call it coaching or therapy, or, I don't really have like a favorite term, but really it is just me supporting you one-on-one and empowering you with tools that I know to help you to heal and overcome past traumas, limiting beliefs, all the stuff that gets in the way of you living fully from your heart and feeling empowered and just present in your daily life, right? So Lean Into Love is, you're going to get that. You're going to get the coaching sessions with me, but it's also a big commitment on your end to commit to a daily meditation practice. So that's what I love the most about it, is that commitment, because that's when I really started seeing the biggest shifts for myself, right? I have been on this path since I was about 20 years old. I had a spiritual experience that completely woke me up from my slumber, and I was able to finally see like reality for what it was, see this beautiful experience that I was having, and I came to my heart, right? I became more aware. So that was about 14 years ago now that I started this journey, but really it's only been this past year that I really started to be more in my heart on a daily basis. And that has come from the daily meditation practice. So it was sort of like not practicing what I preached, right? Like, knowing all these things on an intellectual level, right? The mind, but not actually embodying it and living it. And in order to stay more in a heart conscious state, it took practice, right? It takes daily effort, and even just a few minutes a day makes such a difference. So when you join Lean Into Love, you make a commitment to meditate for at least 12 minutes a day. I just like the number 12. Maybe you want to do 10, maybe you want to do 30, right? The more the better. But you commit to meditating for 12 minutes a day, and I'm going to share more than 10 heart-centered meditation techniques that I've learned. They come from all different traditions. Sufi tradition, Buddhist tradition, Christian tradition, Hawaiian, so many different things from science, right? From neurocardiology and the Heart Math Institute. But I've basically looked near and far and read all the books I could find and tried all the practices. And I've kind of come together with more than 10 practices that I personally love to bring me more into my heart. And so I teach you all of those. And you can decide what you want your daily meditation practice to be. Maybe you try them all, or maybe you have your own practice that you already do. But the big thing is that you commit to doing some form of meditation on your heart and being with your heart, just taking those few minutes a day of silence just to listen to your heart, right? So you commit to doing that. I have a 40-day and a 90-day container. So you can commit to it for 40 days, or you can take it even longer and commit to it for 90 days. And during this time, I also provide you with weekly heart chakra yoga. And each week we get a little bit deeper into it. So heart chakra yoga is going to be really focused on heart opening postures, right? So it's a lot of back bends, a lot of opening. And so we do it gradually. And as we deepen in our meditation practice, as you deepen in the one healing work that you're doing with me, we're going to deepen in the heart chakra yoga too. And so we're going to get deeper into our back bends. So I love sharing the heart chakra yoga practices with you too. And I also created a Lean Into Love journal. And that is a journal that you can use every day. There's going to be prompts, journal prompts to get you more into your heart. All the meditation practices are in there as well. So that's just another little piece that you get. So for the 40-day program, it's going to include unlimited Voxer, right? So we can connect. You can get coaching from me and get support from me basically 24/7. You can message me on Voxer. It's an app that you'll download on your phone, and I'll message you back. So you'll get that support. You'll do the daily meditation practice, and I will support you through that and help you keep the commitment. You'll get the weekly yoga. You'll get the journal. And you're also going to get 3 sessions with me during those 40 days. And those 3 coaching sessions, they're 60-minute sessions. And I have so many different modalities that I can potentially use with you during that session. So it really depends on what your heart needs, right? So it might be some cognitive behavioral therapy and like looking at your thought patterns and shifting those unhelpful thoughts to more practical and positive, helpful thoughts, right? So we might be shifting the thoughts. It might be more somatic work and going into your body, right? We might do some breath work or do some yoga postures or do some movement, dancing, all the things to release. So I have a background in transpersonal psychology. That's what my master's is in. So ultimately, it's about connecting to the transpersonal, right? To source, to God, to this beautiful light and love that connects us all, right? So, there's going to be mind, body, and spirit stuff. I do a lot of shadow work and connecting with your shadow. I do a lot of archetypal stuff. I love working with symbolism and metaphors. I also do astrology readings and tarot and all the things. So a lot of creative expression and dream work. I may have you draw or paint or find alternative ways to express your feelings, right? So talk therapy can only go so far. So it might be helpful sometimes to talk about it. But a lot of times we need to access it on a deeper level. And that's where that somatic work comes in. And that's where the creative expression work comes into, because a lot of stuff's going to come up when you look at it from a different lens, right? When you give yourself an opportunity to express it creatively rather than literally, or when you just let your body respond, let your body answer, because the body knows and remembers everything, where the mind doesn't, right? We bury stuff in the subconscious. So that is just some of the methods I have. Like I have such a long list that I use. So it really depends on what you need in that moment. But I am just here to support you and to love you and to be like a partner on this journey. I know from my own experience, I've always loved having a coach or a therapist to work with, and just somebody to be able to share these things with, and someone who can cheer me on. So the 40-day program is $777. And then the 90-day program is going to include 6 sessions. So it's double the sessions and over double the time, because instead of 40 days, it's 90 days. And so it's 6 sessions. It's still going to be the weekly yoga, the unlimited Voxer, all the meditation practices in the journal. It is 12/12. And the first few people that sign up in the next couple of weeks, they are going to get a bonus of being able to attend all of my moon cycle masterminds, while you are working with me. So during your 40-day or 90-day period, any new moon or full moon mastermind that I do, you are able to join that. And I love doing those. So even if you're not into astrology or don't know much about it, there is still benefits to be had from coming to the masterminds, because we're just working with that cosmic energy and we're working with the symbolism behind it. So for example, like in the spring, when we are working on the Aries new moon, Aries represents the warrior, right? It's the Roman god of war. So during that time, we're really going to tap into our warrior energy. We're going to look at our solar plexus chakra, which is all about our courage and our personal power and all that stuff. So during that new moon mastermind, we'll be doing journaling and guided visualization and all the things to connect with your own warrior energy. And then everybody also has an opportunity to share during the masterminds of like what's going on with them, what they're working on, how they're going to harness the moon's energy, all the things. And I did forget to mention that the guided visualization is also a big part of my work that I do. So I love taking people on little journeys. It's always amazing to me, like when you can quiet your mind and just listen to your heart and just be present, and you allow your, imagination to unfold, and you're not like overthinking it. It's amazing what comes up. I love like shamanic journeying and hypnosis and guided visualization. I love all that stuff because it's so amazing to me. What comes up, right? So beautiful to see. So I love sharing that with people too. But those are my coaching containers that I have right now. And I also do readings too. So for astrology, the readings I'm doing right now are birth charts and solar return charts. I love doing them for kids too. So if you're a mom or a dad and you want to learn more about your child's birth chart and how you can parent them in a way that is supportive of who they are and who they came here to be in this lifetime, get in touch with me and we'll do a chart. And the solar return charts, they what we do for those is we look at your upcoming birthday for this year, and we look at where what's going on in the sky on that day. And by looking at that, we're able to kind of give you a guide of what themes are going to be present in your life within that next solar year. So for example, like my birthday's coming up in April 26th. And what I would do is I would look at what's happening in the sky on that day. And by looking at where the planets are, I would be able to give myself kind of the themes for my life for the next year on, from this April 26, 2022 to 2023. So that's like a cool thing of like what's going to happen in the next year, right? It doesn't predict the future, but it does kind of give themes, and it's just fun. And if you've never had a birth chart reading, it's so cool to look at your birth chart and to see how the planets like play a role in your personality and the experiences that you have while you're here on this planet in this body. Super cool. And then I do tarot readings as well. And I have a variety of different spreads and readings I can do. So if you feel called to have a reading done, whether it's just like a short 3-card reading or like you do like full on 12 cards, definitely hit me up. I love, like I said earlier, I love symbolism. I love like how the soul is able to speak through symbolism in a way that we couldn't speak if we were just like using words and being literal. So that's what I love about tarot, is just connecting to the symbolism, right? And how it has the 4 elements and all the things. So if you feel called to do that too. And then as far as Heart First education goes, I would love to share before I go my big kind of goal or my big vision for Heart First, right? So when I created Heart First, it was never meant to just be me. That's just impossible, right? The vision I have for this is so big. Like I want us all to be a part of it, right? I'm looking for teachers. I'm looking for parents. I'm looking for leaders, coaches, other people who see this vision too and realize that we could have a whole different education system, one that really supports our well-being. I'm looking for people who want to be a part of that movement. And I want to kind of get this into schools around the world, right? So if you feel called to be a part of this in any way, let me know. And then I am creating I really want to do stuff in person because I know there's such a power to that, like being in the flesh. So definitely doing things in my own community and hopefully spreading this to communities around the world. But I am doing an online social emotional learning network for children. Right now, the age range I have is 7 to 12, but it may grow to also target teenagers too, because gosh, we got to do a lot of work with the teenagers right now. But I have been creating this social emotional learning network for children ages 7 to 12. And what this is it's an online space where children can go and practice social media in a healthy, safe environment. So the way I see it is social media is not going away. And as much as we don't like it, there are going to be children in that age range that are going to be on social media. They're already on it. When I worked as a therapist in the elementary schools, I was getting friend requests on Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok from children I worked with in schools, which obviously I couldn't accept those requests. That did not feel appropriate, but they were on there. They were on there, and the rules is supposed to be like 13 and up. And that's what these social media companies do to protect themselves, right? Because there's a lot of laws, which I found out in trying to build this for kids. There's a lot of laws protecting children's privacy and data and stuff on the internet. But the kids are getting on there anyway, and they're lying about their ages. So like it or not, kids are going to be on it. With us personally, if you have children, you can parent them how you choose and set boundaries, but there are going to be children out there on it. So I figured, why not create a positive space that they can learn from? And in this social emotional learning network, children will have access to courses in mindfulness, or heartfulness, as I like to call it, yoga, emotional intelligence skills, character development, all the things. And so the courses will be available to take online, like a self-paced course. There will be Zoom courses as well, so they can take them live. And it's really neat because they get little badges and certificates after they take the courses, and they can kind of show them on their profile. And so like I'm giving them like little superhero titles, like, you might be, I can't remember the names of them, but there's like one that's for empathy and one that's for kindness and all the things. And so what a cool way to do it for kids to be able to showcase that, like, hey, I took these classes and I have these skills now and I can be proud of this. And it's just a space where children can express themselves too. So they can create their own little cute little profile, and they can share certain things on there with parental controls. So I've been working on building that for a little over a year, and I've run into a lot of hurdles, especially with the legal aspect of things and trying to just protect myself and protect the children and make it a safe environment. And then the technology of building it is definitely above my head and above my skill set. And I had someone working with me on it who's no longer able to help. So I definitely need more people to help, especially if you have experience in BuddyBoss and LearnDash on WordPress. Those are the programs I'm using. So yeah, that's my biggest thing, is like the financial aspect of it, financing this project, and getting the tech stuff done and the legal stuff done. So if you are a person who has legal knowledge, tech experience, or maybe you have some extra finances you'd like to donate to the project, be a sponsor, let me know. I would love to see this network launch within the next year, and I would love for it to eventually be an actual app. But it is just such a big vision. And I realized when trying to create it last year that there's so much more involved than I could have ever imagined. And so it's just a lot for one person to try to do. But that is the goal. Yeah, I actually am pretty proud of myself that I talked for as long as I did, 45 minutes, because usually I'm like, I go blank and I'm like, what do I say? I'm just talking to myself. But because this is my favorite topic and I'm so passionate about the heart, I guess it was a lot easier to do. But thank you so much for being here, especially if you watched this whole video. I know our time is so precious here as human beings, but I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And if you haven't yet, take a few minutes and practice that heart coherence breath, right? So it's an inhale for a count of 6 and an exhale for a count of 6. Set a timer, do it for 3 minutes, and just notice how you feel before you start and notice how you feel after. So excited. Can't believe we did it, right? The summit is over. I definitely want to have another one in the future. So beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Friday, friends. Bye.